Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, or I should say good morning or afternoon, depending on when you're listening. Welcome to the 99th of 100 episodes of Bardadvice, a D&D slash TTRPG slash nerdcore podcast where I, Charles Chaz Yazik, the DM, the Bard, however you may know me, do my best to answer any questions that you might have regarding anything in that field. I hope that everybody's doing well. I can't believe we're already here at the week of Christmas. It's crazy to me that Christmas is less than a week out. How did this happen? So, at the top of the show, like we like to do, there's a few things that we want to go over. The first of which, of course, is the email for the show, which is bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. We're just going to be having one last show next week. So, any questions that you have that you've wanted to get in but never have before, please send them over to bardadvice@gmail.com, and we will do our best to answer those. If you want to get some merchandise, you can do so over at manshorts.com, or more importantly, you can go over to krakendice.com and get yourself a set of one of the 4 limited series that we released with Kraken earlier this year. And if you'd like to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Yahzick. Okay, so I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Again, hope everybody's doing well. Happy Friday. Happy Friday before Christmas. So, there's a couple of things that I wanted to go over for Art Corner this week. So, we'll talk about those. And one of the things for Art Corner we're going to talk about more later, but we'll get into that momentarily. So, the first thing this week for Art Corner, I don't know if anyone has seen the trailer for Superman, but boy, howdy, does it look good. I'm very excited for it. I would recommend checking it out. It's a teaser trailer that's available. It looks like it's not going to be coming out until July, but I think it looks really cool. I'm very hype about that. And then the other thing that I just wanted to note everyone, direct everyone towards, were these Rankin and Bass films other than Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Jack Frost, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and The Year Without a Santa Claus. Man, there's wild stuff going on in those movies. It is so crazy to me. And obviously, as a kid, it's just like fun, goofy Christmas stuff. But rewatching those as an adult is a real trip. Jack Frost and A Year Without a Santa Claus in particular. Santa Claus Coming to Town is actually like relatively normal. But there's a lot of kooky, funny, weird stuff going on in the other two. I would highly recommend checking out. And then the other thing that I wanted to recommend everybody give a whirl if they haven't before, and I might have recommended this before on this podcast, is Red Dead Redemption 2, because I am playing it through for the second time. I just got to Saint Denis. Man, it's so good. It's just art in a game. So I thought that it'd be good for Art Corner. So I highly recommend everybody check it out, Red Dead Redemption 2, as well as the Superman trailer and the Rankin and Bass films. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. 2-hour extravaganza with music and dancing. Heat Miser and Snow Miser, yeah, for sure. And that stuff is actually like kind of the most tame of all the stuff going on in those films. Why does Santa and Santa Claus Is Coming to Town look like a young Ron Howard? Yeah, he's a ginger in Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. He's hardcore, like red hair, red beard. Red Dead Redemption 2. It's worth it, cats. I'm telling you. It's so good. It's real good. Even more enjoyable on my second playthrough, to be honest, which I didn't think that I would say. But there's a reason these games have staying power. It's like Grand Theft Auto 5 is that way, right? Like you can replay that today and it's still good. Started playing Red Dead a while back before I got too busy to play any games at all. Yeah, that can happen. You got to take advantage of the time you have. If you've got time to play games, play games. Catching up on GTA 3 and Vice City. Vice City is so good. That's one of my favorites. I'm very excited that GTA 6 is going to be Miami-centric, South Florida-centric. So that's going to be way cool. That was like my favorite thing about Vice City. It was just like the vibes. Okay. All right, let's see. We have 7 questions this evening, so we want to get into those as well as chat. Hold on, I'm missing stuff in chat. All good things and must come to an end. All right, I'm not opposed to that. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. All right, so first question of the evening. Oh man, I didn't pull up my list of names. I made a list of names and I didn't even pull it up. And guess what? You're not going to believe it. The first question is from Chris. Actually, a couple of the questions this evening are from Chris, so we'll get into those first. So the first question is from Chris, and Chris asks, congratulations. Wizards of the Coast have just announced you as Santa for this year's D&D Christmas. Oh, the honor. What is your merit system? This can't be correct. What is your merit system for if PCs are naughty or nice? In lieu of coal, what would you give those on the naughty list? All right, so thank you for the question, Chris. I had to think about this a bit. I did write up an answer for it. I'm a pretty easy guy. If you're not like actively selfish and greedy, I think you're a pretty good person in my book. My list requirements has stuff on it like, are you kind to wait staff? Are you empathetic when dealing with customer service representatives or low-level employees? Do you put your cart back in the cart return thing? That's a big one for me. I've worked at Walmart. I've had the job of wrangling carts. It's not a cool task. And also, I'm like pretty lazy. So the fact that I make an effort to return carts when other people don't is kind of annoying. And it seems crazy to me. I really went off on a tangent on this. It seems crazy to me that these stores would invest in having these cart return areas, which didn't always exist, only to have customers who can't be bothered to use them. As far as the replacement for coal, perhaps in lieu of coal, I could give them DVDs of really bad movies, like Con Air on Blu-ray. Another naughty list gift might include tickets to Jaguars games, copies of D&D 4th edition, a USB drive with seasons 4 through 12 of The Big Bang Theory. That was just like unnecessarily petty. A burning bag of poo. Yeah. Been playing a new version of a game, enjoyed dying repeatedly back the day in Might and Magic. Sometimes clean up loose carts on the way into a store just to keep them from rolling into my car. It's good. You're doing good work, Kirk. I don't understand what the deal is with that, with the carts. It's like, in fact, when I go to stores, I try to make it a point to at least be aware of my proximity to, if not try actively to park close to one of the cart return areas, just so it's less of a hassle for me to return it, because I know I'm going to return it. Sometimes I just take it right back into the store, Instead of coal, you unwrap a box containing a very small, very hungry Tarask. Naughty gifts, game consoles from the 80s. Oh, yeah. Like all those experimental ones. Deck of many things, but unbeknownst to you, you can only draw the cards Donjon, Skull, and Ruin. Especially when the cards are near the return, but not there. That's a real weird one. Like, if you're way far off from one, I guess I get it. But a lot of times it's like 2 spaces away. You could have, the effort, it seems so minimal. Don't get why cart returns are always across the aisle from each other. They should be more spread out. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a really good litmus test of, like, not necessarily, like, who you are as a person, but just, like, the way that you think. Because I try to make it a point to minimize my impact in general, but especially my negative impact on society around me. So it's like, well, I don't want to just leave my cart in the middle of nowhere, because then that contributes to, like, somebody else not being able to park, or maybe somebody damaging their car. So it seems like a no-brainer to just, like, just return it to the place where it's designated to be returned. Shoved willy-nilly on the return rather than decently stacked. Yeah. It's also just a thing, I think, of experience and relativity, because, as I mentioned, I worked at Walmart doing that job, so once you do that job, it's like, man, I'm never going to be the person to just leave a car in the middle of nowhere, because I hated getting those. I hated getting, you get like 95% of your carts all together, and it's like, oh, there's 1 or 2 stragglers out in the middle of nowhere. Gotta return the card to get your quarter back. Oh, yeah. Well, that's how Aldi works, right? I'm so used to shopping at Walmart. I was just talking to Justin today about Walmart and Aldi. Oh, well. Anyway, there's an answer in there. So, yes. That's, you know, basic stuff, I think, for me as far as naughty and nice. And then even the naughty stuff, I think, would be fun. Be at least funny, you know? Wouldn't be the worst. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Chris. Got to keep it moving. We've got more questions of the evening. The next question is from Ashlyn. And Ashlyn asks, Merry Christmas, Bard. Inquiring minds want to know, what does each class get for Christmas? Please include Artificer. I know it's technically not a base class, but still. Thanks and have a happy holiday. Thank you for the question, Ashlyn. So I made a list here. Chat, feel free to throw out your opinions as to what gifts maybe the classes would receive or maybe ask for, but I'll run through them. So, the Barbarian gets a custom-made weapon, a warhammer or an axe or axes, hand axes. The Bard's gift is also custom, but it's an instrument. Clerics would get an ornament with healing properties, like you can hang it on a tree, but in case of an emergency, you consume it for 2d8 plus 1 HP. Druid gets a plant. Poinsettias are most Christmassy, but they'd be thrilled with a small sapling they could nurture into a full tree. Fighter, I feel like, gets weapon accessories, like a sharpening stone or a bejeweled sheath. Monk gets a set of cashmere robes, earthy tones, practical and comfortable. Paladin gets a snow globe that, when shaken, gives aura of protection. Ranger gets a pair of snowshoes that allow them to travel through snow without leaving a trail. Rogue gets a set of lockpicks that are painted to look like candy canes. Sorcerer gets a mistletoe focus that allows him to cast an extra level 1 spell. That's pretty dope. Warlock gets whatever its patron wants for Christmas. Wizard gets a beautiful leather-bound spellbook. And the Artificer gets a magical tool set that gives them a bonus to crafting magical toys or trinkets. So that is what I would assign each class as for their gifts. Let me see. Rogue gets a brand new lockpick kit. Oh, yeah, we got that. Paladin gets a holy lance. Yeah, that's another good item, I guess, for a paladin. Like some sort of a holy weapon. What would each class give as a present? I feel like it'd probably be pretty similar. Well, no. I mean, the rogue's not giving away lockpicks. Maybe the barbarian would give somebody like a carcass of some sort. Just like, I went out and hunted this for you. It's the thought that counts. Wizards get books, especially first editions. Most definitely. The wizards are book people. Druid a sleigh for reindeer animal companions to tow. Barbarian gets a cozy hat from his or her mom and breaks into tears over how wonderful it is. Yeah, probably. I also wonder about like what this looks like as just like the classes themselves, but then also like a particular party, and based on what their makeup would be, how each of those classes within the party would react. Because to Kirk's point, I think that like a barbarian, that would be a thing that you would do in a campaign where all of the players in the party receive a Christmas gift. And the barbarian would get like a knit hat from his mom or something. Bring magical charms that hang from the pommel. Warlock gets cake or death. The wizard's fancy spellbook should be an enduring spellbook. Rogue isn't giving away anything. You get something that I've stolen from you. Oh, 100%. Yeah, from the rogue you would get like something of yours. Be like, "Oh, I've been looking for this." And it's like, "Yeah, you're welcome." I stole it 6 months ago. Rogue would give whatever was in the guy's pocket that was next to him. The Kulak gives tentacles. I will not elaborate further. Okay. You're not late if you're here. That's the rule. That's what we've established. So thank you for joining. If you're here, you're not late. It's kind of how it goes. But we were just talking about what each class would get and or give for Christmas. Bardgo already. Oh my gosh. I gotta be less predictable. But yeah, I think the barbarian weapons, fighter maybe weapons too. An enduring spellbook can't be damaged by fire or water if submerged, and it doesn't deteriorate from age. Now that's a great Christmas present for a wizard. That's better than what I said. I just said a beautiful leather-bound spellbook. We should expand that to beautiful leather-bound enduring spellbook. Here's a bag of holding. Wait, that's mine. Yeah. Most definitely. That's what you could probably expect to deal with if you're dealing with a rogue. Got to channel my drunk before noon, Chaz, more. You just mean in general? I do think that series would still be funny to do. We might bring it back. I did write a script about it recently. Alrighty, got to keep going because I got more questions of the evening. So thank you for the question, Ashland. The next question is from Chris. As I mentioned, we've got a handful of those from Chris this evening. So Chris asks, with the D&D drawing to a close, what is your favorite episode to date? Is there any particular joke or topic you are especially proud of? Thank you for the question, Chris. I was just talking about this with Justin today because we went and we were doing some shooting today, filming. I'm very partial to 90s edition part 5. I think to this day I feel like that's one of the better episodes as far as just the writing and the delivery. Because I feel like with 90s Part 5, that was around the time, it was like 1920. So that was like around the time that I was really getting a almost automated, like unconscious sense of how the lines would be delivered when I wrote them. So that was like, season 6. So it was like really getting into the pocket of like being in a place now where I can write scripts and know how they're going to be delivered. And that was 90s 5 is a prime example of that because all of those lines, in particular in the opening, like the first minute and a half, is just like, it presents in a way that is better than what I expected, but very close to the feel. So love 90s Part 5. I was just telling Justin today, 1920 was probably my favorite year of the series because like 20 was probably our best financial year, but leading up to that was so much fun. A lot of that year we shot at our friend Warren's house, which you probably remember has like the wood paneling background. And we got to do some of my favorite episodes there. I really like a lot of the stuff we shot there, like Vampire and Wild West and Cyberpunk, and even like Lawyer was real fun. And that was an interesting time, too, I was talking to Justin about today, because that was a time where we would shoot. It would be like an all-day shoot, because we would shoot 4 at a time. And then we would also do the We Play. So we would get to Warren's house at like 10 in the morning and leave, close to midnight, 11:30. I think overall the most fun episodes were probably the ones we didn't think would be very fun or very well received. Like I remember going into military and thinking that it wouldn't resonate or be very funny, but then like the final cut of it, I remember watching it even before uploading it. And then, of course, like obviously with the audience response after it, I feel like that really proved me wrong. It was like, oh, wow, this hits. I like Writer's Edition as a writer. Anime edition was fun. Conspiracies in Florida are always fun. And it'll be a weird thing to let go and to not think about. I think that's the biggest thing, is just like the real estate that the D&D stuff takes up in my mind creatively. So to have that part of my brain free again is going to be interesting and exciting. There were a lot of good ones. I love the episodes with Barry as a guest star. Yeah, Ethan's great. And my favorite thing about the whole Barry thing is that Ethan is the nicest DM you could ever have, like in real life. He's a sweetheart, and he keeps things challenging, and he creates a cool narrative and cool characters, and there's always a Barry in there. But his character in the show is just such a jerk. Just like a villainous DM, and that's really fun. That was fun to do. Laser Falcon time travel episodes. Yeah, Laser Falcon and Thunderhawk. I love that kind of stuff. My favorites are the sagas, Vacation. I had a lot of fun writing those as just like an overarching plot, too. That was an interesting time when we started doing I guess you could call them serial episodes, because they were, sagas, like a series, or it was an ongoing plot over the course of multiple episodes. I really like doing those. The Twin Saga. Regularly play a random episode before our game starts. Oh, well, that's kind. Putch controls the weather. Putch the fish. A peanut butter sandwich. What's going on? I have this image in my head of you feeding a giant koi fish a peanut butter sandwich. 24 years Navy military was hilarious. Yeah, people loved those. The first one we did, I think the first one is Marines. And then we did, because we kept putting off Navy. Because people, I think, were expecting us to do Navy because Jacksonville's such a big Navy city. But we did Marines, and then I think Army, and then Air Force, and then Navy. And then I think we did Coast Guard, too. Maybe do a final week where you play each person's favorite episode. And that might be fun. There's a lot of really good ones. And it's been a weird... No, Space Force. No, we never did Space Force. It's been a weird kind of headspace the last week or so, just getting to the end of that. Oh, Rap Edition was one of your faves. That's good. I only discovered this podcast at the beginning of the year, just caught up to current episode, first live. Sad it's going to go. Yeah, sorry about that. But hey, 100 hours I think is solid. And I try to tell people, I have a question about this later too, but I'll just say, I'm always going to be making stuff. I've always got ideas and things I'm thinking of, so it's not like it's gonna be it definitely won't be a thing where at least I disappear. And I'm always gonna I've been fortunate enough to be friends with a lot of these people that we've been making stuff with for years, so who knows? I'm sure Justin and I will probably come up with another funny thing. Yeah, and we've covered a lot, I think. I think we've covered a lot of the major stuff and then a lot of other fun stuff that maybe wasn't necessarily, needed, but was fun either way. All right, so let's keep moving. We've got more questions. Thank you for the question, Chris. The next question is from Seth. Oh, and I mentioned earlier that we would be talking about this because I had a question about it, so we'll go on to Seth. So Seth asks, hey Chaz, I'm assuming you've seen the new Superman trailer. Yep, so good. Personally, I think it looks pretty cool. I'm excited to see how it turns out. What do you think? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year to you and chat. Well, thank you, Seth. That's kind of you. And yes, Happy Holidays to everybody. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Superman. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. I saw it. I love it. I recommended it at the top of the show. And now I can get into all the things that I love about it. Green Lantern, Hawk Girl. So good, among others. It's exciting. I was telling my wife earlier, I've always preferred Superman to Batman, which is kind of tough. Most boys that I grew up with were more into Batman. And honestly, a lot of my friends that I know these days are like way more into Batman. I never really cared all that much about Batman. I liked him for the villains, but I never really like connected to or him as a character or like resonated with him as a hero. It was always for me like I like Superman because I feel like he's the quintessential hero. Like, okay, so for example, Batman chooses to be a hero, right? Like he elects to do that. He just decides that he's going to take on crime. But Superman is only superhuman because of Earth's yellow sun. Like on his home planet of Krypton, he'd be a regular dude. But it's the Earth's yellow sun that gives him superpower, which gives him a great deal of responsibility. Because unlike Batman, who seemingly just wants to save the already corrupted city of Gotham, Superman has responsibility of saving the world all the time. I'm just so excited. I'm happy that Lois Lane is, you know, not some like model type bombshell woman. Like she's very girl next door, cutesy, classic beauty. That's Lois Lane. That's what we need. Superman might be a little too handsome, but I think they made the Clark Kent wardrobe believable enough. It seems like they have a strong cast. I hope that it focuses on the humanity of Superman because that's what I've always loved. You know, even though he's an alien, he's always been kind of an outcast and kind of on the back foot with humanity, and it's like this weird tightrope that he walks. I just love Superman. I watched the trailer for a second time this afternoon with my wife. I'm just so excited to be getting a Superman movie that will seemingly do the character justice. It's a Green Lantern suit, green and animated. Well, there's only a brief, so I think it's a different kind of Green Lantern too. Right? I don't know that it's Hal Jordan. It is. I don't know. I guess people are dragging the haircut. Well, I mean, it's Nathan Fillion, right? So, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. Is that what's going on? Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not as much of a comic book reader as I once was when I was a kid. But I think it looks cool. I'm ready to give it a chance. Keanu as the voice of Shadow has me interested. Yeah, and Ben Schwartz is a voice on that, right? Is he the voice of Knuckles? Ben Schwartz, I think, is a comedic genius. But yeah, Keanu as Shadow is so cool, and he's so cool. I was watching an interview or I don't know if it was a junket or just like maybe on the red carpet or something, people asking him about it, and he just seems like such a cool guy. Not a huge fan of Gary Stu's Mary Sue's. Gary Stu's Mary Sue's, that's it. I do like the fact that Clark Kent is his costume. Yeah. I like that, though. I like the idea of like a Boy Scout type hero. Like, that's what a hero should be. It's like a chaotic good, right? It's like, oh, that, or excuse me, rather a lawful good. Somebody that kind of walks the line to set the standard for the rest of us, if that makes sense. The comment was a reference to Deadpool talking about a superhero soon. So many anti-Batman memes. Billionaire wasting money on gadgets and punching two-bit petty criminals when his money could be better spent. Yeah, but everybody loves Batman, though. Oh, Idris Elba. Yeah, he does. So who's Ben Schwartz? What's Ben Schwartz doing on that carpet? Been pleasantly surprised with the recent Sonic movies. Didn't hold much hope for them, but was happy how they turned out. You know, I was never a humongous Sonic fan. I mean, obviously, I played it. My whole generation grew up playing Sonic, but I never got super duper into it. But I've heard good things about the films. I mean, Jim Carrey's obviously a monster actor. And Sonic was famous for listening to the fans, right? Because they released that first trailer and everybody was like, this is trash. And they were like, oh gosh, sorry, you're right. We'll fix it. And then they fixed it. That seems way easier. Guy Gardner, yes, thank you. If I could be the person Keanu Reeves thinks I am, I'd be living my best life. Yeah, he seems like a really down-to-earth guy. I feel like Keanu Reeves is one of, a number that you could probably put on one or maybe two hands of people that are in Hollywood that kind of retain their humanity in a way. So I feel like Keenan is like that. Keenan Thompson and Jack Black. My headcanon is that the ugly Sonic was never real and just a marketing stunt. Maybe. And I mean, it could have been, but I don't know. I feel like it's more likely that, because at the time there was a lot of stuff under a lot of scrutiny. And Sonic fans are also like hardcore. Like the people that are super into Sonic, like the lore and stuff. That's like messing with like Magic people. It's like a different set of fans you're dealing with at that point. So, but yeah, I think we got an answer in there. Yeah, saw the trailer, loved it, super excited. I'm very optimistic. So, let's go. Oh, and the Lex Luthor guy looks great. What's that guy's name? I don't know. But he looks good. All right, moving on. We've got 3 more questions, and then we'll do a little chat. And then we'll be out of here. So, the next question, thank you for the question, Seth. The next question is from Chris, as per usual. And Chris asks, what are your top best and worst Christmas songs? Oh, boy. This is going to be fun. Because I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Christmas song guy. I mean, I'll sing them. But I don't seek it out. It just, as much as I just kind of like adapt to the environment around me. Okay, I've talked about this before. And people disagree with me on this. But that Happy Holidays Andy Williams song, you could take that off the playlist forever, as far as I'm concerned. Boop-dee boop, ba-doo-ba-dee bop, and don't forget to hang up your socks. No. Don't need any of that. Thanks, Andy Williams. It's the worst. I'm also not a big Jingle Bells, Deck the Halls kind of guy. I think those are overplayed. I'm a God rest ye merry gentlemen kind of fella. Okay? I like Carol of the Bells. I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. Honestly, most Christmas songs I can get down with. Feliz Navidad's kind of a hard sell, only because it's the same lines over and over. Hey, Feliz Navidad, where's the verses? We're just saying the same stuff? I also thought and made a note of the fact that Harry Connick Jr. has a pretty iconic Christmas album called When My Heart Finds Christmas. That's real good. Look into that. That's always fun. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, no doubt. And then you know who else I've been hearing a lot of lately and is always a fun listen on the radio with their Christmas renditions is Mannheim Steamroller. Been hearing a lot of those. Forgot that that's the thing. Best Christmas song of the night, Santa Went Crazy. Oh, wow. What dude, that's a deep cut, Pirate. The Night Santa Went Crazy is a Weird Al Yankovic song. That album is on that song's on the album Bad Hair Day, I believe. Deep cut. That's a good one. Mariah Carey. Yeah, I know. She's a lot with the I Want for Christmas. Everybody putting it there. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Christmas Eve. Sarajevo for the best. Dominic the Donkey for the worst. Wonderful Christmas Time. It's all right, I guess. Wonderful Christmas Time. You know what song is wild to me? is the Christmas. It's the song where it's just like, Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. Is that not crazy to anybody? They're like, what are we going to do for the hook of this song? We're like, well, we could just say Christmas and then interject backing vocals. We're like, oh, perfect. Sold. But why is it so cold? Christmas at Ground Zero. Top Christmas Eve Sarajevo. Carol of the Bells by TSO. Anything Mariah Carey. John Boy and Billy Christmas album, Christmas Balls. I used to have a dark gothy Christmas CD, nocturnal Christmas songs done grim and dark. If I could find that. Oh yeah, look at that. Best Feliz Navidad version is parody called Police Stop My Car. Sounds good already. Baby, it's cold outside. That's a weird one though, isn't it? Mannheim Steamroller, no doubt. Jethro Tull, Songs from the Wood. And I'll tell you, just on a quick musical note too, this stuff that's been going on with like the United Healthcare Luigi Mangione guy, I will say this, it has inspired a lot of good music. A lot of good music that probably wouldn't have existed otherwise. What's the name of the horse in Jingle Bells? I don't know. Jingle Horse? Anything from Muppets Christmas Carol? Yeah, we were watching that the other day. I need to watch the whole thing because I think we only watched like the first piece. And I just remember where Marley and Marley. Pass up that bottle, will you? Big fan of your music. Oh, well, thank you. That's kind of you. I appreciate it. I am always making stuff, so there'll be more to come. Mr. Garrison's rendition of Merry Christmas. Bobtail. That's right. Bells on Bob's tail ring. I guess that's how it goes. I don't know. What other Christmas songs are good that I like? I don't know. Oh Holy Night, I guess, is nice. Silent Night. There's some classic stuff. Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It also depends on the version of it, too, right? Like, I do like to listen to the Christmas music radio. But, yeah. Little Drummer Boy. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. That's pretty classic. Don't see it on a quick look. They had a spooky silent night. Muppets Christmas. Make sure to see the theatrical version. They cut one song from the version where it airs on TV. Oh, no. Muppets with John Denver. There's another Muppets Christmas movie that's not a it's not a Muppet Christmas Carol. There's one that was in like the early 2000s. I think it might just be called like a Muppet Christmas. My neighbor keeps playing the Chipmunks Christmas. Oh no. The Chipmunks, I feel like they exist in a very specific vein, but they shouldn't be brought out for Christmas stuff. Been trying to watch a lot of the old Christmas classic films and shows and stuff. Chipmunks is a lot to deal with. Oh man, it's a very merry Muppet Christmas movie. Is that what it's called? It seems like it's too much. Yeah, Heat Miser and Cold Miser, Snow Miser. Those are the two that you got to deal with. Are they in Rudolph or are they just in The Year Without a Santa Claus? I don't know. I was like recounting the plot to those films to my mom recently, and she didn't really remember them all. There's some weird stuff in there. You got to check those out. All right. Yes, indeed. We have 2 more questions left. So let's stay on track. So the next question is from Trevor. Thank you for the question, Chris, by the way. That was fun. The next question is from Trevor, and Trevor asks, hey, Yaz, the cleric made a bad deal with an evil entity in exchange for power, and now he wants takesies backsies. Player didn't realize choices have consequences in my world. Well, that sounds like his problem, dude. I'd like to give him a chance, though, by having the party face its avatar. What are some of the more fun heavy hitters you and chat have faced in games? Dragons, liches, pit fiends, etc. I'm fine potentially wiping the party because the entity will ultimately spare them, but insult them endlessly afterwards. Oh, man, cool. Well, thank you for the question, Trevor. Yeah, let's talk about this. Chat, feel free to drop your recommendations in the chat. I did write a little bit of an answer to this. I think pit fiends are awesome. That's a great suggestion. That, you know, they hit hard. They have a lot of resistances. Plus, they can command lesser devils. So you've got kind of like a battlefield swarm thing you could do. So pit fiends are always a great choice. Death Knight, I think, is another good option. They're immune to radiant damage. They might fit the theme of the whole, like, fallen cleric a little better. Dragons are always fun. In this case, maybe a black dragon. I think the biggest thing is that the party be scared, right? And not just the cleric, but everyone. I think it's an important opportunity and an event in the roleplay for this scary scenario to happen to them because of the cleric. Because it's going to naturally encourage roleplay and dialogue among the players regarding that, right? So, what do you think, chat? Level 10 looks like is what we're dealing with. Black pudding. So you die and then forever have a disadvantage to every roll from Vicious Mockery. What is their avatar, Bard? We nearly got TBK'd once by green dragons that were painted white. We kept using the wrong attacks. I like that plan. I do like the concept of there being some trickery afoot. Because what's the deal here? They made a bad deal. I mean, this is just what happens, right? They say you make a deal with the devil in exchange for power. I'm interested to know why he wants to take it back. But yeah, I mean, I think any of those things could put a real damper on their ability to go back to the way things were. And then also, I think that interferes, or I should say rather, that affects what's going on with the interpersonal relationships within the party. So, clerics are particularly nasty, as are Rakshasas, anti-spellcasters, the Gith. Druids are supposed to be true neutral. Did making a deal with an evil entity serve neutrality? Interesting. A Balrog who's actually just a pit fiend. I do like the idea of throwing him off. Oh, I was going to say in before River recommends Hydra. A false Hydra. But I mean, I guess that's not really that's really not applicable in this case, because you want to do it because they're aware that they're going to have to deal with this, right? I assume. Solar. Oh yeah, solar is good. A Solar. Angelic weapons. The Solar's weapons attacks are magical. When the Solar hits with any weapon, the weapon deals an extra 68 radiant damage. Damn. That is wild. There's a paladin who's a little frustrated with the cleric's steady descent into what you see as CE. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Pit Fiend, I think it's also a why not both situation too, Why don't you throw a Pit Fiend and a Solar at him? Or a Lich and a Dragon? Who's to say that it can't be more than one scary thing? A false Hydra that's actually a real Hydra. False Hydra is how you'd punish them after the Fallout encounter from breaking the deal with the deity. Mirror monster always looks like you, moves and attacks like you, and you take half the damage you do to it, so people need to realize they must fight each other's monsters rather than their own. That's a cool idea, too. That's a thing that, and to Kirk's point, if it's a situation like that, where more than just the cleric in the party can be negatively affected by it, now we're interfering with the party as a whole. And so that leads even further to those conversations where it's like, well, okay, so you almost got us killed because of what? What's the deal? You took a thing and then you didn't want the thing? Way back in the AD&D days, we had a DM have a Draco Lich attack the town we started in, 6 of us versus level 1, and here comes this level 20 undead dragon. We got slaughtered. Anti-magic zones are fun twists, too. It's a good point. Doesn't always necessarily have to be, the challenge doesn't always necessarily have to be the enemy itself, but perhaps the environment or circumstances surrounding it. You know, I don't know what the party looks like, but disabling magic is a pretty big deal. It's incredibly limiting for a lot of classes. Solar's a CR21. A bunch of level 10s wouldn't stand a chance against the Solar. Well, maybe you could water it down a little, you know? You could take that as just kind of a, what do you call it, a foundation. Just kind of build around it. 10 mummies. Gold dragon. Let's see. Some heavy-hitting celestial that wants to teach the cleric a lesson. A deity punishing a cleric by making their magic go wild would be hilarious. Yeah? And that could also be a way to punish the cleric within the party, too, if their wild spell casting is affecting those around them. So it maybe doesn't even necessarily have to be like a knockdown, drag-out fight with a particular entity as much as it's just that, like, because of the cleric's deal, their magic starts going haywire. Maybe it's, yeah, I mean, you could do that, too. I feel like that'd be way more of a kneecap if it was in a place where, like, they were, you know, they were rolling percentile to see if they could even cast or something. Heal becomes harm. Your god smites you dead and then cast Revivify. Fight Dormammu. Yeah. If change his alignment, I think the Spirit Guardians goes from Radiant to Necrotic. I think that's true. I mean, I assume that that's how it would work. Sad letter from far off that breaks the party apart. Who would not be pleased of? Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's even more simple in its execution, but impactful in its meaning, because you're changing. He likely has built himself around dealing radiant damage. Shifting that to necro changes things a lot, I'm sure. Unicorns with a Chiron and a plant grown plus silence. I don't know about that. Medusa and her 2 sisters. Yeah. I think there's tons of stuff in there that you can use. But Pit Fiend, I think, is cool. That stuck out to me when you mentioned it yourself. Death Knight's Dragons, the deity. There's a lot of cool ideas in there. You could use one or several of them. But I do love the idea of it affecting the whole party. Just because I think that's going to lead to a lot of cool roleplay within the party later. Druid can only wild shape into toothless invertebrates. Yeah. Or Druid can't wild shape at all. You know, you can severely limit these people's capabilities as far as what they're going to be able to do. Oh, man. Okay. So, RP heavy campaigns, bring them back. Yeah, no doubt. Put the RP heavy stuff at the front. That's where that goes. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Trevor. The last question of the evening is from John, and we'll do a little chat after this question. But John asks, hey, Chaz, this is a 2-part question about sports and the future. All right, lay it on me. As Bard Advice and the NFL season draw to a close, do you have a Super Bowl pick? Also, what are your plans moving forward after Bard Advice? I hope the Jags figure it out, man. Thanks for all the stuff, and Merry Christmas. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. And I always appreciate your questions about sports for the handful of us that are within that Venn diagram of nerd and sports. So, for the Super Bowl, I'm going Chiefs-Lions. Justin and our agent Tim were discussing this the other day, yesterday, I guess. They both think we're going to have Bills-Lions, but I think there's just something about the Chiefs, and specifically Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It's very Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. It's this like it factor that can't really be articulated or like fully explained, where they just kind of like, they just get it done. I'm not happy about it. I'm just being honest with like what I see. It's the AFC, I think, is actually more of a toss-up than the NFC. I don't know anybody that's going to compete at the Lions level except like maybe the Eagles or the Rams. Saquon Barkley is like a create a player. You know what I mean? That guy is like a my career athlete. So he's just got like a whole different thing going on. But I guess that the Rams are kind of solid. No Bills. Toronto will be too much. Bills are looking crazy good. Josh Allen in particular. But the thing is that it's like, okay, well, but can you do it in the playoffs? Because I think we've seen this kind of play. Maybe not this good, but I think we've seen this kind of level of play from Josh Allen before, where it's like, oh, wow, yeah, real good. But can you do it where it matters? Can you do it in the playoffs? Can you do it in the AFC Championship game? I don't know. I don't know if he can. Tampa Bay has beaten the Eagles and the Lions already this year. We're sitting third of the NFC. Yeah. I think that the Lions are solid squad. And I heard from someone recently that maybe it was my agent. Maybe it was Tim. But I heard from somebody recently that Aiden Hutchinson may be eligible to play in the Super Bowl as far as his injury. So that would be crazy interesting. And as for my future, I spoke about it last week a little bit. I'm always going to be writing. In fact, Justin and I are in the process of trying to get a screenplay finished by the end of the month. I'm always making something. I'm in the process of finishing 2 AI albums. I'm writing my 4th rap album, working on a D&D supplement, outlining a limited series script, all kinds of stuff. So I can't speak with any certainty as to what the future holds in terms of content that I'll be producing. But I can say with some certainty that I'm always going to make stuff. And that's just because at the end of the day, I'm an artist. So that's just how it be. So we are officially in chat. What are we talking about? What are everybody's plans for Christmas? You ever mentioned if you were going to post your video that won the award earlier this year? So the thing about that, Cats, is that we can't really post it publicly until it runs through its circuit. And because we won the city, we go to the national for it to run. But assuming that we don't win globally again, which, maybe, I don't know. But typically once it's done its run through the actual contest, then we post it publicly. So we'll put it on the channel. Good things for the week, yes. Most definitely. So I had a good job interview today. So that's a good thing of the week. Finally, after quite a while of looking, it's actually my first real interview that I've had. So that was nice. And I think it went well. I feel good about it. We're going to be following up next week, the day after Christmas, for a second interview, and then just kind of going from there. Hopefully I can get a job. What's everybody else's good stuff of the week? Christmas is coming up. You finish your paperwork for your background check for your FEMA job. Now waiting for a favorable outcome. Nice. Got a 2-day drive home for Christmas. Work really rocked me, so I'm kind of dreading it, but I look forward to friends and family. And just lock in. You can just get through the drive. It'll be worth it on the other side. Salary expectations. $1 million cash. Salary expectations. Ownership of the company. Handing over, give me, make me, put me in charge. Got to go see TSO again, a Christmas tradition. That's always cool. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I've never seen them. I bet that would be real fun. It's like a customer service IT slash job. It's more on the customer service end, but the good news about it is that it's with a company that I feel like if I can get my foot in the door just doing like basic inbound stuff, it's not going to be much of a transition for me over to the IT department, I don't think. So, good thing of the week, you got Fancy Gold Knight for being a channel member. Oh, that's so cool. 11-hour drive home tomorrow. I did that once. It's 12 hours from Rome, Georgia to Oscoda, Michigan. It's been there. Tampa Bay plays Dallas Sunday. Well, you guys probably win that. Jags went out the rest of the year. I don't think that's happening, buddy. I don't think so. Got back from a much-needed vacation. Nice. Yeah, it's been good. I am surprised that it's already Christmas time. It's just gone by so fast. Every year goes by faster. Toronto Symphony Orchestra. Well, that's a different thing. You have hope for the Jags. I don't. Hope for what? We should lose out. We should be going for draft pick at this point. We should be aiming for Travis Hunter. And coach changes. Time flies when you're losing your mind. Yeah, definitely. It's like music for the apocalypse. Maybe next year. Maybe. I don't know. Well, I will say this. I feel like the mystery will be answered next year, because if they do, in fact, make coaching changes and we're still awful, then we got bigger problems. But Justin and I were talking about today, I do feel like a lot of it does come down to the coaching and the play calling, and just the play calling seems very antiquated. It's like play calling for like 10, 15 years ago. Draft picks, you guys are like 5th in the draft. Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, we need to lose out, and we need to have like New York and and the Raiders win a game. That's what we need. What else is going on? Or is anybody traveling for Christmas other than, I guess, the people said they were driving home? And do people have snow where they are? Well, we don't get snow really here in Florida. I think one time in my lifetime, I think there were snow flurries in Jacksonville. It was like a big deal. Released on DVD and Blu-ray, you got Transformers 1 for your movie collection on Wednesday. That's so cool. You know, I've been thinking, actually, my wife and I were recently discussing getting into investing into physical media of stuff. Because she was explaining to me how they've kind of like paywalled the Charlie Brown stuff with Apple. And I just was thinking, like, man, what if one day they just decide to take it off streaming? I guess then it just doesn't exist unless you own it. So, I'm thinking about getting into Blu-ray, getting a Blu-ray player, getting some physical copies of things, just in case, you know, just to have them on file if necessary. It usually snows where you're not. Going back to your hometown for Christmas, that's cool. Snowing. Oh, I'm sure it's snowing up there, River. I'm traveling from the bedroom to the living room. No snow. Nice 70 and sunny. Yeah. Waiting for your fur daughter to be born. Oh, that's fun. Different seasons of series are on different platforms. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird how they do all those contracts and stuff, and it's like, you know, we'll agree to run this season, this this season of this show here for this amount of time, and who knows. 6 inches in Fargo, 1 in Sioux Falls. Erie, PA got a number 2 out of 10 on the list of snowiest cities in America. Whoa. Yeah, I don't miss the snow. I'll tell you that. When I lived with it in Michigan briefly, I don't miss it. Don't miss it at all. That's a big no thanks. Having to dig your car out and stuff. Oh, Erie, PA. Whoa, what are the odds? That's crazy. Sesame Street. Yeah, I did see about that. I see they got their contract expired, I guess. I don't know. I guess nobody's picking them up. It's about that time. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is about that time. At 25 degrees. It's going to be this cold. Just assume we have snow. Yeah. Comes with the territory. All right, indeed, yes, it is that time. We've got to get out of here. It seems to go by faster each time, and I can't believe we've got one more. Next week, we'll be doing our last episode, at least for a while, and then we'll be shifting over to Rogue Advice, so you'll have to check that out for sure. Please join the Discord. River just posted a link in there. Go in there, get all the information you need about all the stuff. It's always good. Hope that everybody has a great weekend, Christmas, etc. So before we get out of here, there's a few things that we like to do before we do leave. The first of which is to remind everybody of the email for the show, which of course is bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. We're just going to be doing the single episode, the last episode, the 100th episode next week. So please send any questions that you want answered on there. We'll try to get to them. If you want to get some merch, you can do so over at manshorts.com, or more importantly, you can go over to krakendice.com and get yourself one of the 4 special limited dice series we did with Kraken this year. If you want to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Yahzik. As I said, I hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, holiday, New Year, etc. We will be back next week, same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Man Shorts YouTube channel. The audio for this podcast will be available, as always, at 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And that's it. That's all we got. Hope everybody has a good one. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time.